DW Africa Link.
Something good is happening in Zambia. The country's economy is seeing rapid economic growth, stability in prices of goods and services, with a 6.4% GDP projection for 2026. That makes it one of the fastest recovering economies in the region. So, what is Zambia doing better? And is it translating into better livelihoods for its citizens?
Things are getting expensive, like fuel is expensive, diesel is expensive. Because of that, the transport as well are expensive. When you go somewhere like you're using public transport, you have to pay more.
Stay with us for more on this. This is Africa Link, the podcast that connects you to the stories that matter across Africa. I am Ajua Tinkrama Domina, your host for today.
Africa Link, every weekday here on DW.
Economists in Zambia say the country is witnessing macroeconomic stability. This means the country can maintain sustainable growth and is not easily shaken by international market volatilities. Now, key indicators such as inflation, employment, and the prices of key goods and services have also seen relative stability. President Hakainde Hichilema is even more confident that his government intends to double the growth rate. Amid all this positiveness, critics have downplayed the progress, associating it with what they call election year fake economic recovery. What really is the case? And how can this growth, whether fluke or not, be sustained? Joining us to break this down, we have Dr. Oswald Mungule. He's president of the Economics Association of Zambia, as well as DW's Katie Short in Lusaka. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us.
Oswald, sets the pace for us for this conversation. When we say the Zambian economy is seeing a strong growth outlook, what exactly do we mean?
Thank you so much. First of all, what economic outlook implies, or positive economic outlook implies, is that we have the macroeconomic environment, which is stable in the country. From that, we expect that the economy will be picking up and getting to higher heights in terms of now achieving what the country wants to achieve. For instance, the country wants now to achieve a more rapid economic growth rate. Then with the macro, or with a stable macroeconomic environment, that will be then highly possible. It means that there is stability in the macro environment from the exchange rate side, from the interest rates, from inflation, and also from the fiscal side of it. So we are saying that that is positive.
What we are seeing is that there's a projection that the current gross domestic product, that's the GDP rate, is projected to rise by 6.4%. What is the situation at the moment, and what does this projection mean for not just the economy, but the people that live in it?
Thank you. Zambia's projected 6.4% GDP growth for 2026 is grounded on structural recovery across the three key sectors: mining sector, agriculture sector, ICT, and the fourth one will be the energy supply. So that's the basis for us to project the 6.4%. Now, from the mining side, we are saying government's projections show strong performance in mining, supported by expansion at major operations and a stable regulatory regime. Mining alone is expected to lift national output significantly. From the agriculture sector, we're expecting an agricultural rebound. In terms, maize production is projected to exceed 3.7 million metric tons. And this will be driven by improved irrigation, climate adaptation, and better input distribution. This recovery reduces inflationary pressures and supports food security.
I am curious, right? As
Yes.
a layperson, as the ordinary Zambian who sells tomatoes in the market, who, is doing their carpentry business, how does this relate to me?
Yeah, that is a very important message to the person on the street, the ordinary Zambians. We are seeing this macroeconomic stabilization and positive projections in terms of economic performance. But what we are seeing is that nearly 60% of the Zambians still live in poverty. Therefore, economic growth alone is insufficient. Zambia needs inclusive, rural-focused human development policies. So we need some interventions. For instance, the person on the street will need support from the irrigation kind of projects so that they can be able to grow their products. They can be food sufficient throughout the year. They also need support in terms of other climate smart agriculture. In Zambia, most people, the largest part of the population lives in the rural areas. They will also need the extension services and also livestock value chains. Social protection scaling is also important for the person on the streets. Social protection implies that you don't just depend on the statistics, the figures that we are getting. What is important is it's what goes into the pocket of a person, of an individual person. So that's what social protection implies. They should be having income that should be able to sustain their living conditions throughout the year. And therefore, government needs projects and programs that would support people so that the poverty levels are cushioned and that everyone else is better off.
All right, Doc, I'm going to come back to you, but Kathy, from the ground, you speak to people a lot, you interact with, citizens a lot. What are they saying about this seeming strong economic outlook and the reflections in their daily livelihood?
Okay, so it's been a rough few years in terms of the economy. So there's the sense of relief for most people on the ground that I've been speaking to. Of course, also the ruling party, the United Party for National Development, is very excited about this, with the president and all the officials talking very highly about this achievement. And also even some local Zambians are telling me that sometimes in the pharmacies, some medicines have gone down, the prices of medicines, some prices in terms of local commodities. But some of the people are really skeptical. It's a mixed reaction, so to speak. There are some people that are saying that, for instance, they went into the shop maybe about 2 weeks ago to buy sugar at maybe 54 kwacha. And then they go back a week or two later, they find that it's been increased. And it's like that for some of the essential commodities. But then I must say also for those that are doing business, especially importing, the dollar exchange rate has gone down, not just for the dollar, but generally the exchange rate has gone down. So that has seen a significant relief for those that are engaging in importing products. And the effects have been passed on to the consumer with cheaper goods. But generally, the cost of living still remains high, as Dr. Mungole initially indicated, because about 60% of the population still lives in poverty. But also, I must mention that there's been easing of the load shedding or power rationing this year, and lots of rain. So at least there is some kind of relief for most citizens. It's better than last year, actually.
That's interesting to know. Usually, when economic outlooks sound better, or governments start touting that we're doing this, or this is good, this is happening, and all of that, the citizens would usually compare to things like, oh, fuel prices have gone down. When we go to the markets, our purchasing power has increased. The things that we could buy with, say, 1,000 Zambian kwacha, we can, buy times two of that. And you have just mentioned that in some of the aspects, you see this change. Which other parts do you realize that things still seem a bit, difficult for Zambians?
The wages, generally, the wages for most Zambians are quite low. We saw the government trade unions negotiate for an increment of 700 kwacha increment for civil servants across the board. And that is not enough. 700 kwacha is about maybe 30, 40 euros, somewhere there. Please correct me, Doc, somewhere there. So it's not really enough. It doesn't change much. So for the average Zambian, they are still struggling a lot. It's only a few things that really are affordable at the moment.
Interesting. 700 kwacha is less than 32 euros, by the way. So that still look like there's still a lot, to be done. Doc, let me come back. Earlier, you were talking about why it seemed that, yes, the economic outlook is improving, but nearly 60% of the population are still living in poverty. Why do you think it is so?
The fundamental issue is the income, as my colleague has pointed out, which I totally agree. You can grow the economy by 10%, but the most important thing is that translating into income improvements amongst the households. So economic growth in Africa and Zambia in particular, we need to be focusing on the value of income growth, not on the percentage growth. Because usually in all the cases, percentage growth rates are just figures. So what will be important is how then do we distribute the income? Okay, we are growing, so we need to be distributing income because we know that there is inflation, meaning prices of goods and services are going up. And therefore, to cushion that, income should be increasing more than the increase in the prices of goods and services. And therefore, that would translate into some relief to the household sector. Because then, something that, say, for fuel, for argument's sake, if fuel was costing at 23 kwacha per liter, it's now at 29 kwacha per liter. And then the income levels will go up, say, by more than the increase in the fuel price. The person who is putting in fuel will not feel the effect of that inflation because then that person is able to afford, can even put more fuel, even if the fuel price has gone up. So that's how economic management should be done. It's not economic growth rate, but it's these activities, these programs that put money into the pockets of the ordinary citizens.
Is it such a big deal that Zambia's economy is looking good right now, especially because we have looked at the impact on the citizen? And in some regard, yes, things are looking a bit good, but in other aspects, like the salaries that you and Katie have rightly mentioned, or like fuel prices, for instance, or any other commodity that pertains to everyday life, people are not seeing the stark difference. Why is this an important thing for the ordinary person?
Why we talk about these things is because there are so many implications. One, if it's an election year, it becomes very, very sensitive because you have to think about the voters. You have to maximize the votes, and you can only maximize the votes if the ordinary citizens are well off. Secondly, it's a national security. You cannot run a country with high levels of poverty, because then that brings about crime in the country. The crime level will tend to go up because everyone has to feed. They have to look for other sources of income. They have to find ways of generating income. So it's a national security. Poverty is a national security. We have other countries in Africa, for instance, I won't mention their names, but you can see the evidence where citizens are deprived of income generating activities, and there've been disturbances from the social point of view, and that creates a lot of problems and security of the country. So it is very important not just to look at the GDP growth numbers, but we have to refocus economies to looking at the actual levels of GDP. So we should be saying, we want to grow the GDP of Zambia from $28 billion in 2026 to $50 billion economy by 2027.
Right.
Okay.
I know that these discussions call for, a lot of nuances. And so I would like us to tackle this point you raised, a critical point about the elections. Elections are in August, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
There are two sides to that particular story. There's a side that says that, the economic growth is a fluke, for want of a better word. So it is purely, not by luck per se, but the government is using it, to woo voters or to win votes, so pumping, a lot of money into the system, doing this, just so the economy will look a bit vibrant for the person who is going to the vote. And at the end of the day, they will say that, look, my living conditions have improved. If this year is looking good, then the next year can be better. So let me keep this government in power. Kathy, I'm going to start with you. How is it sounding like? Do people really trust that this growth is coming genuinely, or because the government wants to win power?
The people on the ground are giving credit. Most of them are giving credit to the government of the day for the improvements in the economy. But at the same time, we see that the opposition is playing on this and saying that it's just something that the current government is doing to win power, because in their view, they're not seeing a change on the ground. I must also mention, Ajoa, that Zambia was the first country to default during the COVID pandemic. So it was really in a bad shape. And now that things are looking up, some of the citizens are happy that in the long run, things are going to get better.
For you, Doc, on the economy side, do you sense that expenditure may increase significantly due to the election year?
Definitely. That's a possibility because election year is a year that, politicians distribute a lot of money into the economy. However, we can say that the macroeconomic stability that we are enjoying is at risk. And most multilateral institutions, such as the IMF and the World Bank, they have been warning the country or giving us advice that if we loosen our fiscal space, then that might derail the macroeconomic stability that we have been enjoying, and they can also jeopardize our economic growth. And if our economic growth is jeopardized, then also from the social point of view, the social risks will also go up.
How do we sustain this gain and even improve upon it for the Zambian economy?
Yes, so to sustain it, we need to manage the fiscal risks and also the geopolitical risks, because it's not only the spending pressures or the fiscal pressures in an election year. There are also other pressures that will come into play, such as the geopolitical pressures, events happening outside or globally, also impacting on, say, the macroeconomic stability of Zambia. So, for instance, inflation is being impacted right now with the Iran, USA, Israel war. And everyone, it's a global phenomenon. So there's a global increase in the price level. So that we should manage that. We should be able to manage that by ensuring that we insulate the economy from the global price increase. One of doing that is, for instance, removing of subsidies, so that when these products are coming in, they are priced at a lower level. And by so doing, you'll be insulating the economy.
Kathy, let me give you the last words in 30 seconds. What is the Zambian also looking forward to in terms of this stability and its sustainability?
The ordinary Zambian is looking for an improved livelihood, quality of life, quality health care, quality foods, and also in terms of health and education for their children, and basically to just have a good life and not be stressed about the economic difficulties. Because like I mentioned earlier, it's been a rough few years for the average Zambian. They're looking for some relief at the moment.
And does this relief seem within reach?
With time, if the country continues on this path of economic growth, there is some hope that the prices will eventually come down and also bring about stability in Zambia's economy.
Thank you very much. You heard that Kathy Short, DW correspondent in Lusaka, Zambia. Earlier, you also heard Oswald Mongole. He's president of the Economics Association of Zambia. Grateful for your time, both of you.
Thank you, Ajoa.
Thank you. Thank you.
Get the stories that are shaping the continent here on Africa Link.
Often, citizens rate how well economies are doing based on bread and butter issues. How is the stabilizing economic outlook impacting these issues on the ground?
The economy is not really good. It is bad because things are getting expensive, like fuel is expensive, diesel is expensive. Because of that, the transport as well are expensive. When you go somewhere like you're using public transport, you have to pay more. So it is not doing well. Even groceries, food, etc., everything is expensive. I am struggling. I'm not seeing the difference. Even if they're saying that the quarter has gained, but no, there's no difference.
You're talking of economy, still things are not okay. When you go to the market, you find that with sugar, it's cooking oil, the prices are lower. But now, it's different, it's opposite side. When you go to the shop, you find that sugar, yesterday it was 70 kwacha, the other day is 80 kwacha, so it doesn't make sense to me.
The economy is doing well, and the government has changed things around, which is a milestone for Zambia. The economy is no longer in ICU.
Zambia now faces the test of not just basking in the excitement of the economic figures, but in improving the reality of its citizens in terms of what they can afford, how much they earn, and how comfortable they live. Share your thoughts on this topic with us on our Facebook and TikTok pages at DW Africa. Listen to this podcast on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast. And don't forget to subscribe to our DW Africa YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. This show was co-produced and edited by Eddie Micah Jr. And I am Ajua Tinkrama Domina. Thanks for listening.
DW. Made for mind.